Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. We are on episode number 14. If you haven't watched this before, this is your first time. Why are we here? Mental Health Mondays, we talk to either professionals in the mental health space or somebody who experiences or lives with a mental health challenge or a mental health advocate. And I bring on special guests and we have amazing conversations. So today I am so excited. I have Anne. She is going to talk with us today about films, her book, mental health, how it's all related. So I will bring her up. Welcome, Anne. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me on. I'm very excited to be here.
Absolutely. And I totally was probably going to pronounce your last name wrong. So
I was like, is she gonna try it? We'll
I
see.
I was like, I'll how do you pronounce it properly?
Feustel.
Foistel. All right. Yeah, no, I totally would have not said that right. So I'm glad I let you. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I have always been interested in mental health. It's something that's very important to me. I have bipolar disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. Mental health has been a challenge for several members of my extended family. And yeah, I wrote a book called Our Favorite Movies, and it's all about how you can use the power of movies in order to improve your mental health.
That is so awesome. I also love how your cat likes to be on film too.
Yeah, I'll show him off for you.
Oh, yay,
There he is.
kitties. We love kitties.
That's my bogey. He likes to hang out when I'm on the computer. So
Awesome. Yeah, I just interviewed somebody recently and their cat was like coming up and like wanting to be on camera. So I think it's always funny when the cats join the crowd. So tell the audience a little bit about your book.
sure. So I talk about my mental health journey in the book. About I've had a long struggle since I was a kid. I've been dealing with depression. So I talk about that, and I talk about my various stays in mental health wards over my lifetime, and then I go into how exactly movies have helped me, and sort of also the psychological research over things like cinema therapy, which is using movies as a form of therapy, and other research around how movies help us and how they don't help us, how certain movies can really be negative when it comes to our mental health and our outlook in life. Then I cover 12 movies and how my thoughts on each movie, how they affect me when it comes to my mental health, how they could affect other people, and then some fun facts about each movie.
Very cool. I really love how you've linked something that can be beneficial and potentially not, right? Um I also, because BCC Evolution, we do an annual film festival, and I know you and I talked about this before. But we have our film festival that's coming up on May 22nd, and it's just so incredible every year to get in these films that are centered around mental health and suicide, and how impactful they can be just watching short independent films. So I think it's really cool how you have linked the two and been able to write a book about how it can benefit.
Yeah, and there's some great movies out there, full length as well, when it comes to mental health. I think of movies like Short Term 12 and Silver Linings Playbook, My Week with Marilyn. I mean, there's lots of amazing movies out there that are just great for people to watch and help them out. Sort of understand themselves, understand loved ones who are going through mental health challenges, that kind of thing, just to help normalize mental health and have people not quite feel so alone when it comes to what they're struggling with.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately the most important is starting to really break down the stigma and not having people feel left alone. One thing that popped in my head, and I'm just curious, when were you officially diagnosed? What age were you?
Sure. So I was diagnosed with depression at age 18,
Okay,
and then with bipolar disorder and generalized anxiety disorder at age 22.
gotcha. So it was a little bit later in life.
Yeah, yeah. I kept it to myself for a long time. I felt like I didn't want to worry people. I didn't want to maybe even admit that things were as bad as they were. But I finally decided it was time to really talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, most important too is I know that bipolar in itself can be really difficult to diagnose just due to all the components that are involved in it. And thinking about being an adolescent or youth and not wanting to really have that conversation. So what has it, I mean, since it was kind of a later, well, not later in life, but a little bit later diagnoses, how has that, I mean, has anything changed in your life as far as having that diagnosis? Or
You mean like has the diagnosis changed or
no, like, has it helped that you got the this is just something I'm always curious about. Has it helped that you got that diagnosis? Like, was it bringing just more awareness to what you were actually feeling and going through? Um,
No, it definitely helped that I got the diagnosis. It helped me understand more what was going on with myself, help with the medications that were prescribed, help with the therapy. So yeah, definitely did.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the reason why I asked that. I had a woman on few episodes ago that she has multiple personality disorder, but it was like diagnosed really late at night life. So she talks a lot about how she wished had she gotten a diagnosis earlier in life, maybe it would have potentially helped. Um so that was the only only reason why that question popped in my head. But I'm really curious about the films and how you came to find that they were useful for your mental health specifically.
Um, yeah, so the first movie where I realized it was helpful was The Princess Bride. So I was in college and I was in a manic episode, so I wasn't sleeping. I was actually within psychosis. I had paranoia. I was seeing things. It was really very scary and very hard. So I thought, well, I need to do something. I don't want to just lay in this bed, not sleeping, feeling horrible. So I decided to start watching The Princess Bride. And I immediately was out of my everyday troubles, my everyday manic state, or that day manic state, and I was just completely in the world of The Princess Bride. So I was able to immerse myself in this other sort of reality, and it was super helpful. I really felt good in the moment or in the moments when I was watching the movie. So I decided to keep going back to that over time. And then I also started going years later to the movie Inside Out, which is all about sort of the five basic emotions in an 11-year-old girl's head. And it became my favorite movie, and I've watched it so many times when things have gone really sideways. So, yeah, that's how I sort of found out that movies, and then I also found out that I had been doing this my entire life, watching movies my entire life in order to improve my mental health.
Wow, that's, I mean, Princess Bride, at least for me, I haven't seen it in years, but the thing that sticks out to me on that is like the labyrinth, and it's almost like mind bending in a way, like how that story develops too. And so being, that's really interesting to me for you being in a manic state but it like ultimately brought you into a different reality, which is really cool that you can start associating those two things. Did it ultimately help you kind of shift out of that manic state, or was it just something that helped relieve what was going on?
It was more that helped relieve what was going on in the moment. You know, I, I mean, that's a good question. That's, to be completely honest, I don't always have the best memories of manic states. They sort of start to erase certain things from my memory. I don't have a memory of it taking me completely, like shutting down the manic state for good, or at least that particular episode for good. It's entirely possible that it did, but that's not my memory of the situation.
Gotcha. No, and that definitely makes sense. And I love, I mean, in an Inside Out, I'm like, what was the name? That movie, I'm love Disney movies and Pixar movies and all of those in general, but I am also one of those like diehard, like the original Disney fans. And so it took me a while to really get to the newer Disney movies, I guess you could say. And when I watched Inside Out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And of course, I was crying because there's so many emotions that come up. I mean, but it's a really great awareness of we have this extreme of emotions in all of us. And it doesn't, I mean, it's something that we all go through, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. No, it's an amazing movie when it comes to talking about mental health and emotions and normalizing, mental health issues. And it's really interesting because I've been in various sort of group therapy settings where the therapist has shown us a clip of a scene from Inside Out to sort of illustrate whatever point they're making about therapy and mental health. So it's not just me, it's a lot of people are very much all about that movie when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the other movies that you talk about in your book?
Sure. So Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Fry Green Tomatoes, um, A League of Their Own, Defending Your Life, Big Business, Tommy Boy, When Harry Met Sally, Joe versus the Volcano, Little Women 1994 version, and Contact.
Oh, wow. And I'm sure you just get, I mean, so many different feelings and emotions and all of those from because that's like a big span of various movies for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So most of them are movies. So I called the book Our Favorite Movies because 10 of the 12 are movies that my sister and I watched growing up and in our teen years quite a bit. And that was a way for us to connect with each other, was to watch movies. We weren't always we have extremely different personalities, very opposite personalities, and we weren't always super close, but we love to watch movies together. We still do. So, yeah, it's just something that I really love to do with my sister and just a way to bond.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, movies are one of those things. Well, we like, at least with our family, is watch a movie on Sundays or, I mean, right now, because I have a 6-year-old son who loves superheroes, so we watch a lot of Marvel. And then also 18-year-old who is now in the Netflix type movies. So it is interesting how movies can shape how you're feeling, and when you want to be, well, not when, but like when you watch the movies, you want to be aware of kind of where your emotional state is too, right?
Right.
Because it could go the extremes either way.
It's funny. My niece is obsessed with Encanto. and I went to go see it in the theaters a few weeks ago, and there were little kids dancing and singing along in the aisles. It was the best thing ever. It made me so happy.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go visit her soon. She and my sister live in Vermont, so maybe we'll watch some Encanto when I'm there and sing along.
Yeah, I just watched that movie a couple months ago, and I love it. And I know they talk about fans or the audience is really wanting to know more about the strong sister, because it's kind of that like gender identity type thing. They also talk about that in Canto of like a woman being strong, and
Right.
I guess they get the most requests to learn more about her, or she's Googled the most, is what I heard.
That's interesting. I love that. No, she was definitely my favorite character.
I totally forgot her name, but like
Louisa.
Louisa, there you go. Yes. So she is the one that I read that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that's awesome. So I thought it was really cool.
Yes, as Surface Pressure, I believe, is the song that she sings, and it's my favorite in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it and I went and I bought the DVD. I don't have Disney Plus, but I went and bought the DVD right away because I just wanted to be able to watch it whenever and see all the fun extras and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, I haven't even watched all the extras. I love movies, and I love that you can go into, like you said, like another world. It just takes you into another world, right? And
Right.
you're able to experience it through watching. And that's why, I mean, how the film festival came up was I have a friend who's an actress, and she's like, you should do a film festival. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing with the film festival. I don't know. I mean, I love movies, but I'm not like overly critique. Like, I don't have that like critique mind.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
very first film festival we did was in 2019. We're on our 4th year this year. So and it was amazing. I mean, I just was blown away by the entries and how they can showcase so many emotions and then really start opening up that conversation around mental health and suicide in such an artistic way. So I think it's really cool how also chatting with you that we can link those to mental health, not necessarily with just like films that are directly related to mental health and suicide, but also to films that are everyday films that we watch.
Right. No, it's great. It's so important, and no, I'm all about one of the things that I really want to do in this life is to help people understand there are very simple, easy, and fun ways to cope with your mental health issues. Because a lot of people think self care is about yoga, it's about, or just about things like yoga and diet and exercise and stuff that not everybody enjoys doing. Self care is also about things like watching movies that you love and, watching TV that makes you think about stuff. So it's not quite so labor intensive, maybe is the best phrase. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on special diets and, box food and stuff like that. There's much easier things you can do.
Yeah, that's a really great point too, is self-care depends on how you want to take care of yourself, and if it includes watching movies or like with your cat, like pets are great self-care also. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. And also like cat videos, like people don't think that they think it's just a waste of time. I mean, that's the whole thing. Or maybe they think watching a movie is a waste of time. But really, if it's making you smile, it's making you cry, or making you laugh, making you think. whatever, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But you want to be careful of the movies with the excessive violence, the unchecked racism, fat phobia, homophobia, that kind of thing. So you want to be cognizant. Also, if a movie's making you uncomfortable or upset, like I started watching this. I'm part of this group. It's called Films of Hope. It's sort of this closed group with me and a bunch of different people I know, where we watch once a month. We watch a different movie that whoever has nominated the movie feels is a hopeful movie. Well, we watched this movie Indian Horse, and I actually had to stop watching it and not go to the group because there were several suicide, two people who died by suicide in very violent ways, and I just couldn't watch it anymore. It was just too upsetting. So being aware of that and listening to yourself, and stop watching a movie if it's just making you feel bad.
Yeah, you don't, I mean, even if you go to a movie theater, you don't have to sit there and watch. If it's something that's disturbing to you, feel free to walk out or,
Exactly.
yeah, that's a great point. I know that we, in our house, we tend to watch or the shows that we watch are like NCIS, or, I mean, we do watch like Big Bang Theory but for whatever reason, also watch like Snapped and some of those like the police type shows. Maybe not the best for certain people that may be in like a depressive type state, or like, just be aware, like you were just saying, is just be aware of the feelings that are coming up while you're watching, and it's absolutely okay to turn it off, walk away, change the channel, or leave the movie theater.
Right. I worked in a movie theater when I was a teenager, and I remember specifically a lot of people walked out of Saving Private Ryan, and they said they couldn't handle sort of that handheld, sort of shaky cam that was in the beginning of the movie. But I think it was also just how violent it was and how much it felt like you were right inside of the war.
Yeah, I had a challenge with that one too, I remember.
Yeah, that first scene that was like 20 minutes long, or however long that was, so long. That was hard to watch. That was really hard to watch. I mean, the
I
whole movie was hard to watch, but that first bit.
Yeah, that I remember, speaking of like bouncing, I remember the Blair Witch Project. I
Oh, yeah.
I could not, like, I went to a theater with my friends and it was so like shaky all over the place. Like I literally felt like I was getting vertigo in a way, but then also I don't like scary movies. I'm not a scary movie person. So I sat there with my eyes closed pretty much the whole time.
Oh, no. I remember going to that movie and having it, like, the movie had been sold out over and over again, and we got in there, and actually somebody who worked at the movie theater was like, "Congratulations on getting a ticket to this movie." Which I thought was hilarious. But no, it was scary. And I used to be more into horror movies, and then I started realizing what effect they had on me, and I was like, nope. I'll watch one once in a while. Like, I watched Jordan Peele's movies just because I love him so much, and I think his movies are so fantastic. But they definitely affect me. Like, I still sometimes, I'm currently in the basement of my house, and sometimes when I'm down here, I think of the movie Us, if anyone's seen that, and I won't spoil it for you, but there's stuff with sort of underground parts that sometimes my imagination gets away from me, and I start thinking about what might be happening in my basement.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's definitely, I was actually last Monday we had a sleep coach on, and he was talking about, even like when you are about to go to bed and when you wake up in the morning, like if you're grabbing your phone right away or using it before you go to bed, you can actually affect what you end up sleeping about. So this could go also on the side of what you're watching. If you're
Right.
watching a movie that is disturbing and then you go to bed, more than likely you might get bad dreams And if you wake up in the morning and you start watching like potentially the news and it's very negative, it can set the tone for the rest of your day, which is something I didn't actually think about. So
Makes a lot of sense for sure. And yeah, it can definitely set the tone for the rest of your day, for the rest of your week. It can affect you for a while. I mean, there are certain scenes that like the movie Indian Horse, or like a movie like Django Unchained. There are certain scenes that really can affect you for a long time.
yeah, my go-tos are the ones more recently now, are the ones that I can just laugh because, you know,
Yeah, no, me too. Me too. I'm a big fan of like a dramedy, like a comedy drama kind of movies, so you can laugh and cry and think and feel and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, some of my favorites. I love the Jumanjis, the more recent
Uh,
Jumanjis. I like Kevin Hart and The Rock paired together. I think they're
yeah,
pretty
that's a
funny.
good pairing for sure. Definitely a good one.
So if anybody wants to know or find out more information about your book, what is the best place to find that?
Sure. So there are two places you can find my book. If you're interested in a signed copy, you can go to my website, which is wearewritingwisely.com. If you're interested in an ebook or buying it from Amazon, you can find it on Amazon. And the full name of the book is Our Favorite Movies: How Films Affect Our Mental Health.
Awesome. And I'm pretty sure that I put it all in the comments. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, if I found your website, so it should all be in there. Any final things that or tips or tricks or anything that you want to share with the audience?
Sure. I would say one thing is that it's actually very beneficial when you watch the same movie that you've been watching several times. There's something about the comfort of that. About, a lot of movies you might be sort of like on the edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? I'm worried about this character. Is everything going to work out? But the movies where you've already seen it, it's actually really good for you, and you sort of, you can feel very comforted by it. I sort of think of certain movies that I really love, that I keep watching, and that help me feel better about things, as like a warm blanket or a hug. So I really encourage you to keep watching those movies or those TV shows, or listening to that music that you've listened to or watched, so many times. It's just really helpful to do that. So that would be a tip that I have. And just, listen to yourself, think about what it is you want, and what are you going for, and what are you in the mood for. So, but be open to indie movies, I would say, also, because those can sometimes be the best movies out there, or the smaller movies. A lot of people really, and I don't have anything against Marvel, but there's so much else out there. So just, take a look. And shorts, yeah, shorts can be really lovely, especially the Pixar shorts. I'm a huge fan of Pixar shorts. So, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Just and I'd love to hear from any of you. You can always go through my website, what your experiences are um, with watching movies. So yeah, I think that's about it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining today. This was a great conversation. I love movies and um, how you also talk about how they can affect or help your mental health challenge, whatever you're going through. So I just appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being on, and this is just, I really love what you're doing here, and I'm definitely looking forward to the film festival.
Yeah, I'll get you more information for sure.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. This was another episode of Mental Health Mondays, where we talk to those who are either in the mental health professional space, those who experience or live with a mental health challenge, or mental health advocates. And I just want to say thank you so much to Anne for coming on and sharing her journey through her mental health challenge and how films helped her. Again, all her information is in the comments. So make sure that you like, subscribe, share, all of the things so that you don't miss another episode of Mental Health Mondays, because I promise you, we're already booked out into middle of April with amazing guests. And maybe you want to be a guest. All you have to do is all the information, again, is in the comments. But we can't do this without your help. So join today and become a warrior for mental health yourself. You'll get these super awesome shirts. I know I always have a hard time showing you, but you'll get one of these super awesome shirts if you donate $20 or more per month. That helps us bring all of our education programs to you. And we just talked about films. We have our film festival coming up on May 22nd. It is a hybrid, so you can come in person or watch it virtually, because we have films from across the world, and we narrowed it down to 14 total films this year, which I'm super excited about. So again, join us for the film festival, become a warrior for mental health yourself with only a $20 or more donation per month. And we will see you next Monday. So like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss another episode. Bye, y'all.